Welcome back to the International Export Conference on China with Invest Northern Ireland. I'm Richard Seymour, Regional Director, managing a team of experienced business professionals across China. During the course of this session, we will outline how and where Invest Northern Ireland can help Northern Ireland companies to enter and succeed in the region. This session will focus on food and drink in China. During the course of this presentation, I'll be outlining how and where Invest Northern Ireland assists Northern Irish companies in the region and the range of services we provide to help your organisation enter and succeed in new markets. Invest Northern Ireland's role is to educate and inform you about opportunities to export and to provide financial and advisory assistance, both domestically in Northern Ireland and in market, to help companies explore new markets. We help you to make informed decisions, to understand if a market is attractive to you, and if your company has the capability and resources to export to new regions and locations. And once a decision to export has been made, we will support you in successfully executing your in-market strategy. We provide in-market business development activities, attending exhibitions, expos, workshops and conferences at key industry events throughout the calendar year, at which we represent Northern Irish companies, generate business leads, set up B2B meetings, and identify future sales opportunities through networking. Invest Northern Ireland in overseas markets provides a range of assistance to Northern Ireland exporters on the ground across 4 large territories globally, namely the Americas, India, Middle East and Africa, Europe, and of course, Asia Pacific, a region in which we are making significant investment. In Asia Pacific, we are divided into 5 regions: mainland China, which we are focusing on today in this export conference, Hong Kong, Northeast Asia, Australia and New Zealand, and Southeast Asia, including Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia. Our dedicated team of business development professionals work throughout Asia. In short, we are your local business partner overseas. Today, we have offices in mainland China, in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, with a team operating out of key embassies and consulates across the region. These trained professionals will be sharing their expertise and insights in the next part of the seminar, cover the following sectors: advanced manufacturing and engineering, education, food and drink, life and health sciences. We are currently exploring expanding this sectorial coverage in 2022 to include some form of specific coverage for the ICT sector. However, while our sector-focused strategy currently concentrates on these 4 main areas, we will react and provide assistance to all the inquiries we receive. Invest Northern Ireland also works in close collaboration with key organisations such as the NI Bureau to build long-term relationships, gain market access, while capitalising and creating opportunities with regional and provincial actors at the highest levels of government. So, how do we work with our client companies? In Asia Pacific and China, we have further developed the trusted business partner relationship adopted by INI in Northern Ireland to encompass the activity and the key relationships we have with you in markets in China. Most importantly, you, the client company, is the centre of this relationship. You will be supported by a locally based INI client manager and the international trade advisor from our Belfast headquarters for one of 6 regional offices. The China-based team, our China advisory support provider, and other in-market partners will all work with you to provide assistance, advice, professional business development activity, and active on-the-ground support. Let's take a closer look at the roles of the INI team that is here to help you. Your client manager, based in Northern Ireland, concentrates on key sectors, giving you unique industry knowledge and the confidence to expand your business. Our international trade advisors are similarly sector-focused with a track record of successfully helping Northern Irish companies export worldwide. While the in-market team deliver on-the-ground expertise, local knowledge, and industry connections across China, which are enhanced by strong government contacts and connections from the British Embassy and a consulate network in China. And finally, our ITA, BD team, and you, the client, will work closely with our trade advisory support or TAS provider to assist with research to fully inform your market entry and connect you to businesses via industry channels across the country. This experienced team work with a single focus in mind: to support you, the client. We provide in-market BD activities, attending exhibitions, expos, workshops and conferences at key industry events throughout the calendar year, at which we represent the Northern Irish companies, generate business leads, set up B2B meetings, and identify future sales opportunities through networking. We provide cutting-edge insights including specialist IP knowledge on how to protect your brand, and give financial support to businesses seeking to export. Our world-class sectorial research or company-specific research allows you to make informed decisions and optimize your offering for China. Our extensive network provides clients with access to industry associations and regional influencers at the highest level. This suite of services is complemented by localized and nationwide marketing and communications delivered across multi-channels and multi-sector marketing for client companies. In addition, our in-market teams keep abreast of the impacts of policy changes and sectorial developments, enabling them to understand implications, risks, and in-market business opportunities. This knowledge is particularly critical in China, where the government plays a key role in sectorial developments and policy intervention. So, why consider exporting to China? The China opportunity is vast. China has a population of over 1.4 billion people with a burgeoning middle class and a $14.7 trillion economy in 2020. Notably, the only economy to experience growth last year. Indeed, despite one quarter of negative growth in 2020 during the pandemic, China went on to record a full year of growth, and economists in a recent Reuters poll expect an 8.6% GDP expansion in 2020. However, China remains a challenging market, ranking 31 out of 191 countries on the World Bank Ease of Doing Business Index. China is currently pursuing a dual circulation development strategy, aiming to drive domestic demand while strengthening China's capability to undertake global trade. A strategy, according to analysts, that will see China's economy become increasingly self-reliant while minimizing the effects of potential fluctuations in the global economy. State-backed enterprises and Chinese government involvement in industry may also create challenges for foreign businesses competing openly in individual markets. However, crucially, China is the world's second largest importer of goods and one of the world's fastest growing economies, which has been predicted to become the world's largest as early as 2028. Put simply, it is an economy in which opportunities abound, and we are helping you to capitalize on these opportunities in a number of ways. We do this through a journey of exploration, growth, and achievement. Invest and I has developed a methodology that we call a trade journey, a continuous stream of activity over a significant period of time, producing strong results. First, we educate you, our NI client company, about the opportunity and how to access that opportunity. Then we work hand in hand with single companies or cohorts of companies to make initial sales. We call that the nail it phase. Next, we enter the final phase, scale it, where we build on the achievements and successful case studies to scale your business geographically and expand into new sales channels. So, educate, nail it, and scale it. 3 simple phases, but as you can imagine, more complex to execute than they sound. For many of you, this may be your first steps into understanding China. In the next part of this conference, you will hear more about each of the sector-focused trade journeys. But let me take this opportunity to explain this 3-phase trade journey approach. In the first phase, to explore the market and sector in China, we invest time to understand Northern Ireland's sectorial capability, capacity, and existing export sectors. We meet with you, our Northern Irish companies, to understand your products and business model, to understand the challenges of each sector and the aspirations of your business. Our sectorially focused China team work with you and our domestic-based I&I colleagues to evaluate your individual company needs and the needs of the sector in NI, to conduct sector research, but also client-focused research designed specifically for you. Whilst our approach is not an exhibition-driven strategy, we do leverage exhibitions and trade shows. We think of these as another activity along the journey of exploration and business development. We commit resources and build key relationships with important local industry partners, experts and distributors, and perhaps most importantly, we are even at this stage focused on generating commercial outcomes for you, where we work with you to develop B2B meetings, both before, during, and after trade shows and exhibitions, and align Marcom's activity to this business development activity undertaken in China. With this continuous stream of activity and engagement, you are able to make an informed investment decision on the viability of China as a suitable export market. In short, we provide you with optionality. Obviously, this cannot be a one-size-fits-all strategy or process, but as we near the end of phase 1 and enter phase 2, where initial sales are generated, we consider and assist with distributor and dealer searches, customer and sales channel development, stakeholder engagement, market access issues, and can contribute to your go-to-market strategy. As your China business develops and you become more confident in your knowledge and commitment to the market, you will then start to think of scaling your China business. In this phase, again, Invest Northern Ireland has a strong role to play. Scaling businesses in China can involve expanding within China to other geographical areas, or the development of multiple sales channels and product differentiation. Given the government policy-led environment of China and its recognition of its size, we continue to work with you to maintain and develop your stakeholder engagement and marketing and communication activity. The most important thing to take away is that Invest Northern Ireland has made the investment in markets and in Northern Ireland, has sector experts and a suite of services and the imagination required to use these to provide bespoke and sectorially driven support in a continuous stream of engagement that leads to commercial outcomes. And that concludes our introduction to Invest Northern Ireland in Asia Pacific and China. Should you have any questions or need further information, please do not hesitate to contact us. Our next speaker is in-market sector lead Freya Han. Freya will be highlighting the importance of the China market, share her extensive work supporting Northern Irish companies in China, and provide details of future events for your participation. We hope you enjoy the session.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Food and Drink Seminar of the International Export Conference on China. I'm Freya, the Food and Drink Specialist for Invest Northern Ireland in China. Today, I will talk about why China is an important market to Northern Ireland, where the opportunities are, and how we support Northern Ireland business in China. So, why export food and drink to China? Well, first of all, the China market is huge. Take a look at the value and size of the market described in this slide. China has the potential to be an important market to the Northern Ireland food and drink industry. China is the world's largest food and drink market. Food and drink imports in 2019 were approximately $91 billion, which was an increase of 23% from 2018. Meat, seafood, and dairy are China's top 3 import categories. Let's first look at pork. Although China is the world's largest pork producing country, it's also the biggest pork importing country and also the top growth market for pork. China's pork imports reached to 4.4 million tons in 2020 and was worth $12 billion, an increase of 157% compared to 2019. Now let's look at beef. China is the world's largest beef importer and imported more than 2 million tons in 2020 with a value of approximately $10 million, an increase of 24% compared to 2019. However, despite this increase in beef imports, China still has a gap in supply, which was estimated in 2019 to be greater than 200 million tons. After 20 years, UK beef was approved for import in 2019, and one of the first to approve UK beef exporters is from Northern Ireland. To date, despite this approval, UK hasn't exported beef to China, and you will likely be aware that China recently banned the import of UK beef from cattle after a case of BSE in a diseased cow in Somerset, England on September 17th. DEFRA's chief veterinary officer has highlighted that the cow didn't enter the human food chain, and the Food Standards Agency have confirmed there's no risk to food safety or human health as a result of this single isolated case. And beef is absolutely safe to eat. DEFRA are working closely with Chinese authorities to understand the nature of their concerns and provide additional reassurance on how this case has been successfully managed to ensure import conditions can continue to be met. Invest Northern Ireland will monitor this situation closely and work with our partners in China and in UK. In the meantime, we will continue to be prepared for when this ban is lifted. Dairy. China is the largest net importer of dairy globally. Interestingly, this market is set to grow further because China's dairy consumption of about 35 kilograms per person per year is only 1/3 of the world average. Alcohol, given that wine is not of a strength, let's look at the spirit market here. China's hard liquor imports of $1.6 billion in 2019 accounts for 32% of China's total alcohol imports. Given the increase in wealth and increase in the sophistication of the spirits consumer, this import market is only set to grow. Brandy and whiskey are the top two categories in hard liquor. Whiskey is a very fast-growing segment of the higher-end spirits, and Scotch whiskey is now the #1 whiskey in China, with American bourbon whiskey placed second. The China market is large and growing. There are opportunities for the NI exporter. But how do we help you to develop in this export market? These slides show you the areas in which we support NI business, from education, marketing, strategic events, stakeholder engagement, research to in-market business development. In the next slide, we will show you how we use these tools and support mechanism and have developed them into a continuous stream of support and engagement with you, the Northern Ireland exporter. We support you through a trade journey. This journey is in 3 phases: exploration and education, which this slide will explain. Then the nail it phase, and lastly, the scale it phase. We identify opportunities through market research and evaluation to understand market access issues, trade policy, consumer insights, communication, and sales channels so as to make a strategic plan on how to promote Northern Ireland and develop this market for our exporters. Business development. We are driven by commercial outcomes for our NI exporters. Internally, we work closely with our Northern Ireland-based colleagues and collaborate with the UKDIT's market access team to understand market access issues and solutions. Externally, we focus on building relationships with customers, large importers, distributors, industry association and experts, show organizer and relevant government departments, and regulators. As you know, China is a very different and a competitive market. We form a partnership with the NI exporters so that we are able to provide insightful on-the-ground advice and support that assists NI companies enter the China market and once established to grow their business. To help our clients promote NI food and drink sectors, we have a series of strategic events in different formats across the year. I will show some examples of these in subsequent slides. What works now may not work in the future, so we adjust our strategy to account for policy changes, market trends and challenges, and the feedback from our clients on what worked and what didn't, and also examine the commercial results achieved. Most importantly, throughout our relationship, we provide you with one-to-one support. This year on the ground, we supported 18 Northern Ireland food and drink companies in China, including 5 new alcohol and beverage companies enter China. Now, let's take a closer look at some specific events and the success that we have had in our trade journey in 2020. Each year, we organize a series of events and trade shows to promote NI food and drink sector. I would like to share with you one of our key trade shows, CL, to give you an idea of how we support NI companies through our in-market events. We invested in an exhibition stand at CL China, China's largest food and drink show in May to promote NI meat and dairy. Despite COVID, the show was very well attended with 4,500 exhibitors and more than 146,000 professional visitors. We had 7 NI companies join us and exhibit at the show. For existing NI companies, the show helped them with brand awareness and maintaining the relationship with their current clients. For new-to-market companies, this show helped them explore the market and develop potential leads. For those who can't physically be present, we represented them to present their products and respond to inquiries. We also designed an e-brochure with our exhibitors' profile and contact information in it for visitors to reach out to them directly. Our presence at the very important global exhibition plays an important role to build brand awareness and promote NI's food sector with our pure natural quality brand. We have received very positive feedback from our participant clients, and we will continue with this next year. In this slide, I will share with you some of our marketing and communication activities. Marketing is crucial to the success and the business growth of a brand in China. This is also the support that we think our NI clients need to develop the most in the China market. Together with our I&I in-market marcoms professionals, we develop strategies and activities that complements our companies and sectoral focus. We have run different formats of marcom activities. Let me share with you a very creative marketing campaign that took place in June, which was a social media-driven digital content piece using KOLs to promote the NI dairy sector. The format was an afternoon tea on a garden rooftop of Shanghai. With the increasing power of KOLs and the changing consumption model in China, consumers more and more rely on KOLs' opinions when it comes to decision-making in purchasing. So we invited 2 popular KOLs from the food and drink sector to film the video. We started the video by talking about NI and its livestock industry, and then KOL taught audience to make 2 desserts with our NI products. The video helped NI generated more than 50,000 views from KOL's social media accounts and more than 2,600 views from I&I and British Embassy's internal media channels, reaching out to Chinese food service clients, distributors, and consumers with a high ROI. This video campaign also helped to enhance the influencing power of NI and its food and drink industry, given Chinese know little about what NI can offer. We received positive feedback from our NI clients, and they found the formats with KOLs involved in had added great value and created positive image for their brands in China. The video was a very effective and cost-efficient way to convey our message to our target audience, and it was more convincing with the KOL's influence. Now, let's have a look at a short version of our video.
然后我们带大家用北爱尔兰的稀奶油呢做2款甜品，并搭配北爱尔兰获得过3星大奖的红茶。
那个 Stark 家族的首府就在那个北爱尔兰。
做的第1款甜品是草莓香提碗，这是一道非常简单又好吃的甜品。将新鲜的草莓洗净后，从中间1分为2。 然后放入一个干净的盛器中，蓝米奇稀奶油倒入不锈钢盛器中。如果在底部垫上冰块，这样更容易使奶油打发成型。同时还要加上2勺糖粉，增加奶油的甜度。一般市场上普通稀奶油乳脂的含量在35%，这款蓝米奇稀奶油乳脂含量高达38%。更高的乳脂含量意味着奶香更为醇厚，打发的稳定性也更高。和酸性的食物搭配时，也不易产生乳水分离的情况。将腌制过的草莓和打发的奶油同时装入玻璃杯中。 最后还要在顶部盖上一层厚厚的奶油，甜品就都大功告成。
是一个4代家族传承的一个品牌，汤姆森茶，它获得一个 Great Taste Award 3星大奖，这个奖相当于在食品饮料界的奥斯卡。
比如说像 Dale Farm 呀、Suki Tea 呀，那未来我们希望把更多的北爱尔兰的美食美酒带给中国的消费者。
Apart from our own events, we also work collaboratively with other teams and also external stakeholders to promote NI. For example, we work with UK Consulate in Chongqing to organize a whiskey tasting event with UK's Minister for Trade, Graham Stewart, and the Chongqing Consul General to promote Irish whiskey. The event successfully invited more than 50 targeted business clients, including distributors, food service clients, industry leaders, KOLs, media, and senior government officials from Southwest China. The minister made 2 cocktails using Bushmills whiskey, which was live streamed online, and it was quite fun as well. This educational session gave audience a better understanding of Irish whiskey, how different it is than other whiskey, and also an opportunity to promote a nice culture. To help Northern Ireland companies enter into China and develop the market, we have commissioned market research reports on dairy and seafood. We are collaborating with UK's DIT in relation to additional research on dairy and seafood sectors to understand the China market and the UK and NI capability and how we match the opportunities with our offerings. Apart from sector-focused research, we also conduct tailored research bespoke to Northern Ireland companies. For example, we conducted research to help a Northern Ireland dairy company to understand Chinese consumers' perceptions of Northern Ireland and UK and Ireland. These insights will be integral in the development of their marketing plan and will help them evaluate how to position the origin of their product and brand from a geographical perspective in relation to Northern Ireland, United Kingdom, and Ireland. As part of our ongoing and future trade journey, we set up our events for the remainder of this year. These are a business networking reception in Shanghai in November with exclusive business clients to be invited, which would be the great opportunity for you to showcase your brands. And also 2 educational briefing webinars to share with you our research result on dairy and seafood. We welcome all of you to join our future webinars. Lastly, you can find our introduction to Invest Northern Ireland in Asia Pacific and China on this website. Should you have any question or need further information, please do not hesitate to contact us. Our next presentation will be from Thompson's Tea's Chinese partner to share with you how they entered into China market and their trade journey. Thank you for watching.
Hello, I'm Lawrence Wang from Breakfast Champagne and for Happiness. We are the partner with Thompson's Tea in China. This is a very big pleasure to have this opportunity to present how Thompson's Tea doing business here in China. We are a company has been doing imported food business many years in China for expats living in Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, and some cities around. Once we realized that Chinese market could be the biggest emerging market for tea bag products, we decided to partner with one of the best tea company in Northern Ireland, which is Thompson's Tea, as you all know. We imported products from Northern Ireland and we are doing direct sales. I've been always being asked a question about why you're doing tea business in biggest tea country for 1,000 years. That's actually a good question, keeps me awake at night. We learned from some research that in 2019, the online market size of tea bag in China was 5 billion RMB. The online market size of tea bag in China will maintain dramatically growth and break through 13 billion RMB by the end of 2021. We believe that with the development of brand and online sales channel of tea bag products, and the quality tends to be standardized, tea bag has become more and more popular for young people. After all, who would miss a market with total market size of 13 billion RMB, and it still grow double digit for next years. The market research also shows that in consumer groups, up to 88% of people aged below 40, they prefer to deal with tea bags. We believe that Chinese tea market will be gradually dominated by younger generation. For them, tea bags are just easy to carry, more convenient to make in many different places, fashion icons. And that's the typical lifestyle they would be proud of. And we are now witness some change is happening in Chinese market. However, there are some roadblocks on the path to succeed. Here are the majority of them we are facing now, and we are trying our best to tackle them. Although Thompson's Tea takes more than 40% of market share in Northern Ireland, but this is still a brand new for Chinese customer base. But these people are buying training. So what's the motivator for them to try a Thompson's Tea? And that's why we would like to work with I&I closely for branding our value proposition to these targeted audience. And it's always been a conflict that some young people are loving tea bags, but the parents are apparently not. They just don't stop convincing the children that only loose tea is more healthy. In terms of many competitors in the market, they have been in the tea bag segment for so long time, and consequently, they have numerous loyalty customer base. For these who come in later, like us, we need to pay more cost and time to demonstrate our differentiated values. Regarding the COVID-19 impact on business world, not even mention we've met some troubles in customer clearance, shipping date delay, and some Chinese competitors have been taking this advantage to take over some market share since then. Well, speaking of a China-UK relationship, we are actually paying extra attention every day to anything that demonstrates comment about China. Every time they said truth about China, there will be something reflecting on customer preference very, very shortly. Here, I would very much appreciate to I&I and a special thanks to Korea that helped a lot for organizing branding and co-marketing activities, including events and making presence on social media for Thompson's Tea to increase the brand awareness and also penetrate the Chinese market. Well, we participated the St. Patrick Day with honor in March, and we placed a little booth there to telling all guests from a business community of Northern Ireland that we are in China eventually, and we are sorry to make you homesick. And then early Q2, we had a video with key opinion leader who has more than 200,000 followers on TikTok as a marketing campaign. With this presence on social media, we are able to deliver the message to target audience. And I really appreciate this creative method of marketing our products. And I'm personally looking for a more opportunity to having this kind of campaign in near future, working with I&I. Recently, we had a cross-sector marketing event with McLaren to showcase our premium tea products portfolio for these very successful people who may lack last piece of puzzle to their perfect English lifestyle. So as well as establish connection with corporate clients, and build a partnership with other UK brands. And this is also a big help to enhance our brand image by making this presence with high-end luxury brands. Again, I really appreciate some additional supports from INI China, such as introduction for a Chinese context, a media write-up on social media, a regular sharing some market research and industrial insights report regularly, and that support us to have a very high visibility access to Chinese market. Here is what we are planning to do for Q4 this year and early Q1, Q2 next year. So we are planning to participate INI Food and Food Drink Showcase, as well as INI Business Networking Reception. And we hope to approach more clients and prospects through that event. And we are looking for more cross-sector events by working with INI. I really appreciate that kind of marketing campaign. For sure, we will expanding our B2B business footprint continually in China, and we're gonna do some development for B2C channel to promote NI food products. I would personally encourage any NI company thinking about export to China to get in touch with Invest Northern Ireland. Thank you.
Thank you to Freya Han from Invest Northern Ireland and Lawrence Wang from For Happiness for their presentations and for sharing their knowledge and experience of China's food and drink sector. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. Now we'll hear from Colin Graham, Technical Advisor at the Invest Northern Ireland Technical Advisory Unit in Belfast. Colin brings extensive experience in providing intellectual property advice, financial support, and guidance to Northern Irish companies entering markets overseas, and will highlight how Invest Northern Ireland can help prepare your company for export success.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you all today. My name is Colin Graham, and I work in the Technical Advisory Unit within Invest Northern Ireland. Within that team is a mixture of engineers and scientists and people with an intellectual property background, and we aim to help mostly small and medium-sized companies with a variety of different problems, IP, product development, quality management systems, and others. But today is really primarily about intellectual property, so that's where I'm going to focus. Within the Technical Advisory Unit at InvestNI, we have some expertise in advising companies on the issues to look out for in different markets, but we're going to start off with the focus on China, obviously. But in general terms, we can provide advice and guidance on intellectual assets, intellectual property protection issues. So that ranges across patents, trademarks, design registrations, copyright, license agreements, and so on. We have the capability to do patent searches, both internationally and domestically, and trademark searches, and we have access to an international database where we can check on trademarks for companies free of charge within reason. We don't have an unlimited capacity to do that, but we can certainly do that for any companies where it may be helpful. We also can deliver intellectual asset audits, and that allows us to take a look at what intellectual assets a company may possess, look at the level of protection that they have on those, and see if that's appropriate and if it's providing coverage in the key important markets that you're dealing in. So it's worth pointing out, though, we're not legally qualified in intellectual property, we're not lawyers, but over the last 10, 15 years, we've certainly acquired considerable experience in helping small and medium enterprises, particularly with the appropriate way to handle intellectual property and intellectual asset challenges within their companies, both in the UK market and as they start their export journey. So most of our work would center on helping InvestNI client companies to register trademarks or patents in the UK and the EU, and also to quite a large extent in the US. But we have increasingly been involved in helping companies with intellectual asset registrations and issues in China, Japan, Indonesia, Australia, and the rest of the world, like South America and so on. We can also supplement our own knowledge and experience with linking people into some of the IP services companies that operate in Northern Ireland or beyond, and that can be helpful in letting people to access those services as they need them. So let me throw up to start with some basic issues to consider before we even focus on China itself. So we'll take one step backwards, as it were, and I'm going to pose the question: do you know within your company at present, is your intellectual property appropriately protected in the UK or within the EU, what you might consider your home markets? Because we've had examples in the past of people who thought that perhaps IP was only a big issue in China and didn't matter so much here. And obviously that isn't true. It's very important to have that base level of protection in your home markets in the UK and the Republic of Ireland, the rest of Europe. So I'll put that out there as a question. Do you understand what IP registrations you already have within your company? Does somebody have a list of those? Could they pull them out? Could they let us see when those expire, who you registered them with, what markets they're registered in? Are they purely logos, or are they descriptive? What classifications do you have them in, perhaps? There's no doubt that more and more, especially for small companies, that intellectual assets are probably one of their key assets in the company. The intangible assets like that continue to be more and more important than physical assets as we work in a more knowledge-based economy. So I think it's important just to take that one step back. Do you know what IP you have currently in the UK and EU? And do you know the dates of expiry and all of those things? Having reassured ourselves on that, and you've reassured yourselves on that, the fact that you have a trademark in your home markets does not help you in China and has no legal value in China. Trademarks in particular are geographically registered. So if you have a UK trademark, it will not cover you in other countries, and certainly it won't cover you in China. So perhaps a good starting point would be to do some searching, perhaps with one of the IP attorneys. Is the trademark you're thinking about using in China, is it available? Does any other company have it? So I think that has to be the starting point. Is it available? And as I said, we can do some of those searches for you if that's helpful. I think the one big point we want to make here is that it's very easy with the excitement of maybe looking at a business opportunity in China to think, let's go straight in there, let's do that. But the fact is, it can take up to 9 months or a year to register a trademark in China. So it's really important to think about this, and to think about it at the earliest possible stage, and probably not when you're about to ship your first container of products to China. So please bear that in mind. The earliest point of thought about this is best. If you can think about it, up to 9-10 months ahead, that will be excellent. But obviously business issues take precedence, and sometimes that's not always possible. But do think about it at the earliest possible opportunity, and try to involve us or your IP advisors on checking, is the trademark you're thinking about available to register in that market. There is an issue that some people who are unfamiliar with selling into China may not be aware, and that's the fact that you can register English and Chinese language versions of your trademark. And sometimes that acts as a bit of a delay or a bit of a barrier, and people think that, well, we're not quite sure how to typify our product or our trademark in a Chinese language, so therefore we won't do it. But the basic advice we'd give is, if you're in that situation, which is understandable, at least get on with registering the English language version of your trademark and get that underway. Some other basics I want to throw in here as well. There are major risks that have happened in the past, and there's some nasty stories about how importers have perhaps maliciously registered trademarks in advance. So it's important to register the trademark in your company's name. It may initially feel easier to get somebody, your local importer or whatever, to register it, but that could be very counterproductive in the long run and could be difficult, could create big difficulties. In fact, if a relationship breaks down in the future, if the business or trading relationship breaks down, it may be difficult or indeed impossible to get the trademark back, and you may have to deal with the consequences of that, which could be at best difficult and at worst impossible, I think. So as I mentioned before, it's important to register the trademark before a brand enters into China. There is this risk that Chinese companies can register overseas brands, trademarks in a spiteful way before the brand enters into China, not to speak of those brands that already are in China. So as I say, get the English trademark registration process underway, even if you're not sure about the Chinese language version. It's common that some brands, as I say, may not know how to typify their brand name in Chinese, but don't worry about that. Get the English version registered, because the trademark is owned by whoever registers it first, and that process can take 9 months to 12 months. Also worth pointing out as well that domain name registrations may be important as well, and they're separate, so you do need to pay attention to those as well as getting trademarks. The good news, hopefully, for some people is if you're involved in the registration of a trademark in China or some of the other export markets, if you're an SME, there may be some help available from Invest in Northern Ireland to assist in that process. And to help towards that end, we use a scheme called Technical and Development Incentive, or TDI for short. That's only available to Invest NI clients, and you do have to be an SME, so in other words, employing 250 people or less in rough terms. That scheme can be used to help SMEs with things like product design, product approval, product compliance issues, and quality management systems. But quite often it is used for intellectual property and intellectual asset registrations. So for something like registering a trademark in China, it's a very well set up scheme and commonly used for that purpose. It can only be used for external third-party costs. It can't be used to assist with in-house costs that you may incur, but typically that works perfectly fine because you're dealing with an IP attorney either in the UK or locally engaged in China. We don't mind which it is from the point of view of the TDI scheme and the support there. Any offers on that scheme are subject to approval by your normal client executive, but it can cover 50% of the project costs up to certain limits. So I'll just talk through those limits because they're worth bearing in mind. You could have a maximum grant of £10,000 using TDI support, which is more than ample to cover both a trademark logo and a trademark word representation. So that would certainly be valuable. You can have a maximum of 2 live TDI grants available within a rolling 12-month period, subject to normal approvals by your client executive. So if you've used those 2 and other things already this year, then it may not be open to you. But otherwise, it's normally pretty straightforward to do. There is an online application process, so we can assess those applications electronically and normally turn them around and move towards issuing an offer within 2 weeks. And as I say, the supplier can be located here at home, or they could be in China or elsewhere. We don't particularly mind as long as they're a credible organization, and we will review the quote before we'll issue a link to the application form to you. So that kind of concludes the main things I wanted to say. I just wanted to highlight some of those key issues about thinking about your trademark and your intellectual property issues in China before you get there. And ideally start thinking about them 9 months to a year ahead as you plan your market entry. Be very careful about letting someone else register your trademark. The general advice is don't do that. Register it in your own name. It's by far the best way forward. And certainly for the SMEs in the audience, we can provide that Invest NI support to help the process and provide our advice and guidance on things like trademark searching as you go through this process. That kind of summarizes what I want to say and what I want to encourage you to think about this morning. If you would like to get in touch to discuss any of that, you can directly contact me on that email address, or my colleague Ian Wilkinson, who's the manager of the Technical Advisory Unit Invest in I. You can contact us on those email addresses, or by all means, you can make contact through your normal client executive if that's an easier process for you. Thanks for listening to me, and hopefully we'll be able to help a few of you with those inquiries, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you to Colin for a very insightful and informative presentation on intellectual property, advice and guidance. Our next speaker is Ting-Ting Xu from the Confucius Institute at Ulster University. Ting-Ting's presentation will highlight some of the important cultural considerations to be aware of and the common mistakes to avoid when doing business in China. Over to Ting-Ting.
Good morning, everyone. First, thanks for Investor Northern Ireland for inviting me to join in this seminar. I'm delighted to be able to deliver this session today. My name is Ting-Ting, and I work for the Confucius Institute for Northern Ireland at Ulster University. And the topics I want to cover with you today are as follows: business culture in China, which includes greetings, face and relationships, banquet and table manners, meetings, exchanging gifts, and lastly, business cards. And generally speaking, you can make a simple address and then shake hands with each other simultaneously with exchange of greetings, 你好, which means hello, then exchanging business cards. You are supposed to pay much attention to the time and strength when shaking hands. It is inappropriate to shake hands for too long or too short a time. 3 to 5 seconds is the best. And next slide, I will teach you how to say hello in Mandarin. Here, 你 means you, 好 means good. Together, 你好, which means hello. And when you say 你好, and the reply also 你好, 你好, 你好. And there are some tips when greeting others. In China, greet others by using handshake or not, and do address seniorities by the honorific title, their family relationship, for example, teacher, 老师, or by the family name plus Mr. 先生, Miss, 女士, and do address the eldest or most senior person first. This is done as a sign of respect to those in a more senior position. As for the concept of low context cultures and high context cultures, which were first introduced by the anthropologist Edward T. Hall in his 1959 book, The Silent Language. And the low context culture values efficiency, time, directness, honesty, clarity, and understanding. As for the high context culture, which values body language, storytelling, saving face, rules of politeness, and relationship. As Chinese belong to high context culture, which values relationship. And relationship, 关系, is closest to connections, networks, and relationship. Chinese people attach greater importance to the social relationships than the commercial relationship when doing business. 关系 means to establish personal trust and a strong relationship with your partner, and can involve frequent visits and plenty of socializing. 关系 is your social capital within your network. Concepts like friends before business means you develop friendship before the business, because if you don't have friends, the business won't be there anyway. And the reciprocal nature of 关系 is the main reason why Chinese are reticent to engage in deeper relationships with people they do not know. 关系 is hard to establish, but lasts long. It is a core trait of Chinese mentality. And as a foreigner, understanding what is meant by face can mitigate a culture shock. It can also help with relationship building between yourself and your Chinese colleagues. Face can be described as a combination of social standing, reputation, influence, dignity, and honor. A giving face is crucial when it comes to do business in China. If you give Chinese face, for the most part, what you receive in return is much greater. And no face means disrespect or losing face. And throughout a Chinese person's life, face must be maintained and enhanced through giving to and receiving from others in both words and actions. And here are some tips for giving face. Praising someone publicly, especially in front of their elders or boss, and giving sincere compliments and showing that you are enjoying yourself when being treated out. And the next part is also very important, which is a banquet. It is a channel for conducting business deals, although the practice varies depending on where you are and who you are dealing with. By and large, most Chinese banquet tables are round, and you will have a meal in a private room with harmonious and polite atmosphere. And for the traditional dining etiquette, if you are the guest, wait to be seated, as hierarchy is involved. And eating usually begins when the host offers the first drink. When helping yourself to the dishes, you should take food first from plates in front of you rather than those in front of others. And here's a tip for you. Do not stick chopsticks vertically into your food, especially not into rice, as this will make Chinese think of funerals. And drinking toast, but light, not respond, but light, but respond toasts. And here are the seating orders. The most important person sit the number 1. And the second most important person sits number 2. And the third most important person sits number 3. And here also a picture for you. And for the chopsticks, which are called kuaizi in Chinese, while eating, watch to see if other diners are using their own chopsticks to take shared food, or if there is a spoon that used to take the food from the communal dishes. And here are some taboos for the using of chopsticks during the meal. And do not knock on the bowl with chopsticks, and do not cross the chopsticks, and don't point your chopsticks at others. And also do not stick in the rice, which I mentioned just now. And during the banquet, there are several toasts, and say 干杯 when toasting others to signify cheers. And locally produced wines or baijiu, which is strong liquor, are the usual drinks for toasts. And for formal dinner, the host will make a speech and toast. If there is a toast, remember each person's status in the hierarchy. And when delivering a toast, it's customary to stand and use both hands to hold your glass or cup, and it is respectful to dip the tip of your glass below that of the person you are toasting. And here are the etiquette for the meeting. The first is be punctual, which means you must be on time. Arriving late considered rude. If you do arrive late, apologizing for your tardiness is a must. If we are hosting the meeting, it's proper etiquette to send the representative to greet the meeting's participants outside the building or in the lobby, and then personally escort them to the meeting room. And as for the seating arrangements at Chinese business, and the seating is typically arranged by rank, and the clothes dress formally. And here's the formal meeting. And next I want to talk about is about how to exchange gifts. It's a big part of any culture, and the ideal gift need not to be big or expensive. It should, however, be something that the recipient will appreciate. And when you receiving the gift, do you present with both hands and receive things with both hands? This is considered polite in Chinese culture. And do you gift a small item that are typical from your own region? And do not wrap gifts using black or white wrapping paper. Choose festive colors such as red instead, and do not over packaging. Don't gift clocks or other symbolic items. And clocks and things are related to the number 4 are associated with death in China. Don't gift umbrellas, knives, scissors to your friends because this imply the severing of a relationship. And also do not expect that a gift will be opened immediately. And the last tip is that never give a green hat to a gentleman because it implies the association with adultery. And finally, I want to talk about how to exchange business cards. Here, my business cards, there are 2 sides. The first side is in English, and the other side is in Mandarin or in Chinese. And about the etiquette of handling business cards, using a thumb and forefinger of both hands to hold the 2 corners at the top of the business card. And the front of the business card faces the other person. Here's a picture for your reference. Okay, that's all for my lecture today. Thank you for listening. 再见.
Thank you, Ting Ting. That was wonderful. I've lived in Asia for over 2 decades, and I can attest to the importance of familiarizing yourself with the culture. I hope we can all look forward now to putting these lessons into practice. A big thanks to all our speakers today. I hope you enjoyed the conference and have got a taste for the opportunities in China. You've met our staff and you know that we are here to help you as you consider your options. If you have any questions or want any assistance exploring opportunities, please contact us. Email us at shanghai@investnorthernireland.com. Now to sign off, I'm going to leave you with a really moving video. At the start of the pandemic, a relationship was formed between Millburn Primary School and Coleraine, who recorded a song in Mandarin for the Chinese people who were at that time the first to experience COVID-19. Invest Northern Ireland's summer song worked with Chongqing Depu Foreign Language School, who recorded this after receiving messages of support from Northern Ireland. The video we're going to show you is, in essence then, the reply to that song, from China to Northern Ireland.
Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's come and all the flowers are dying. Taste you must go and I must buy. But come you then when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis now be here, sunshine. am dead, as dead I will may be. I pray you'll find the place where I am lying, and he and say, and I lay there for me, and I shall hear the soft dew tread upon me, and all my grace shall almost whisper me that you will near whisper that you love me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to me.
We are the one, we stay together.
We are the one, we stay together.
We are the one, we stay together.
Best wishes to Melbourne Primary School, to Northern Ireland and to UK.